I believe in aliens. I believe in exorcism. Because you know that what trauma's like because you've been through it, and that's why you're like that. Society today where it's like, how do I fix this the fastest I can fix it? Why do you need to be surrounded by shit all the time? Like, why?
Welcome to Tea with Tori. I'm your host, Tori, and today the tea is hot.
What's up, spillers? Welcome to a new episode of Tea with Tori. I'm your host, Tori, and today I have a very special guest. I have CJ. Woo! CJ, please let the spillers know who you are, what you do, just a little bit about yourself.
Oh my gosh. Well, I hail myself now as a sober bikini model. I get asked a lot what a sober bikini is. It's not like
what is a sober bikini?
I'm like, I am a sober person who also models bikinis. And also, I have had you on my podcast as well on the Inside OnlyFans. So.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So I'm happy to be here.
So I think it's like the first question you probably get asked all the time. Why? Because you're like very proud about it. Like, I'm a sober model. Like, there's a lot of people that go through different things in recovery and they like kind of, oh, why don't you drink? Oh, I just don't. Like, they don't want to be open about it. What made you kind of be like, this is my past. I'm going to advertise like, I am this bitch. I am the sober bikini model. This is my platform.
Oh, honestly, you know, the easiest way to describe it is that I drank online. So now I'm going to be sober online. So, like, you know, everyone had, although I didn't post too much with pictures, like, of drinks, but, you know, everyone's in the club, you have your drink, you're, like, spilling all over. That is perceived as, like, glamorous. Like, she's having a incredible night out. Yeah. She's in Vegas. She's with her girlfriends. Meanwhile, I'm, like, super drunk, and I've got, you know, I reek of alcohol, and I was on the internet like that, so why can't I also be on the internet as being sober? So that's kind of like me trying to do like the Lord's work, make up for all my fucked up, like, can I say that word?
Yeah.
Make up for all my fucked up behavior. So I'm trying to be just as proud as I would have been on a girls' weekend in Vegas now that I'm sober.
I love that.
Thank you.
That's a lot of like, I feel like social media is very much not the space where people are like, I'm going to be my authentic self.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, I'm just going to not ever post alcohol and not talk about it.
Right. And there's a lot of people that do that, and that's fine for them. I know that there is a space for that. I'm in a 12-step program. So, like, you know, a lot of people will hear me refer to AA on my podcast, but we're kind of not supposed to do that. I'm not supposed to tout so much AA. I'm supposed to just talk about that I'm in recovery and that I'm in a 12-step program and still kind of give it its anonymity there. But I just feel like, I really love, once I started sharing, I think I was like, when I went online and started talking about it, I think I was 6 months sober. Because every now and again, to prove to myself that I wasn't an alcoholic, I would take like a month off or 6 weeks off. And I'd be like, I can say no, I'm not an alcoholic. I don't have a problem. Even though secretly I would be at home drinking all the time. And sometimes I wouldn't even go out because I would be like, I just want to stay home and drink and do a bunch of drugs. So,
oh my God.
Yeah, that's when you know it gets bad.
Yeah.
When you're
like choosing to not be with people. Exactly. I always say like, I feel like there's more reflective drugs like weed. Like, you can smoke weed alone by yourself. Absolutely. Like, it's one of those things that you do alone. I've always felt like liquor is something that if you're drinking by yourself, it's probably a problem. It's such a social thing that like you cheers people. Like, that's the whole action. Like, it's a thing. Like, everyone gets their own drink. It's like an outing.
Girls' night, brunch. Yeah.
I feel like the hardest thing is like every event kind of revolves around it, especially as an adult. You know, like what? Dates, dinners, like all of it.
It makes me so mad because now even yoga, like some yoga studio was saying, you know, a yoga and then mimosas after. I'm like, the fuck is wrong with you people? Literally. I'm gonna go get Zen, and then y'all are gonna pump me full of alcohol. Which, listen, I'm not like, oh, alcohol is poison, or, you know, nobody should be drinking alcohol, because I fully believe I have an allergy. I fully believe it's probably fine for most people out there. But I just subscribe to the fact that it's like shellfish. Like, shellfish isn't like a world issue, but just some people can't have it. Yeah. And so with that being said, I just feel like for me, it doesn't work. But we do know it's a poison. We do know that. So it's like, why would I go and do yoga and then
drink a Bellini?
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah. Why? So it kind of upsets me. And as you can see, I get real animated and passionate about it because it's like, yoga is, I don't want alcohol with my yoga.
Yeah.
And if you're starting to pressure alcohol that goes with the yoga, or like who's gonna have like a Moscow Mule and a hike? Like, if somebody told you to do that, you'd be like, that's weird. I don't think I want to partake of that. Smoke some weed and do a hike, fun. All about that.
Literally.
I don't smoke weed, but I think that goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
Go on a hike and then maybe set up a camp somewhere and do a bunch of mushrooms.
Yeah.
I'm down for that too. Like, I don't do that, but that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But like alcohol after the yoga, it doesn't, nowhere does that make sense. So that part irritates me. But as far as like the club and the different Hollywood events, I feel like it's really important to talk about that. I go to those. I'm sober. I don't ever feel like I have an issue because I feel like I go and I have so much fun. I always am received warmly. So I'm really so fortunate about that. And sometimes I do feel like it has to do with me just being authentic about it.
100%. I feel like it's the people that are kind of like, oh, I'm just not drinking tonight, that then they start getting pressured. Then it becomes a problem. And it's because like people don't know you have a genuine problem.
Right.
So they're not like, oh, I'm keeping that away from you. Like if you find out your friend is diabetic, you'd be like, oh, like, do you have your insulin? Like you're kind of on like guard with that shit versus if they're just like, oh, sometimes I might pass out. Like, I don't know, you know, like stuff like that. Like being very upfront with people keeps them from kind of trying to pressure you because they think it's like, oh, you just aren't in the mood or you're not feeling fun. To have fun, we have to make sure she drinks. Like that's a whole thing. I've always watched people because I don't really like drinking. I'll drink sometimes to like celebrate, glass of wine here or there.
When it makes sense.
But it's still like, I don't even like it. I'm just... People are so weird when you don't drink. People act so weird around you when you don't drink.
It's true. I've even told somebody that's in their newer phases of getting sober or sober curious, just tell people you're on antibiotics.
Oh, that's
lie.
so good.
You can lie. It really is nobody else's business.
Yeah.
And if you don't feel comfortable, I actually have a friend who's newly sober and he's in this phase where he's just not comfortable talking about it just yet. He's not sure where he's going to go with it. I get that. Lie.
Yeah.
Fucking lie. Say, I'm taking antibiotics right now. You can say it's for allergies, especially if you live in California or like, you know, Colorado or somewhere like that. It's for allergies. I just can't drink with it. Or I, you know, broke a finger, broke a toe. I can't drink with the medication I'm on. It doesn't have to be
a whole drawn out my life experience.
And then
type
people
thing.
normally like different things like that. They're just like, oh, okay. But yeah, you're so right. You have to kind of give them a reason.
Yeah. Or they'll pressure you. So you're like full blown, all encompassing sober. Like you do not put drugs in your body.
No, I can't.
Because like you hear like, oh, I'm California sober. And you're like, what the fuck is that? It's like, oh, I smoke weed and I have like the occasional glass of wine.
Yes.
I'm like, that's not sober then.
I have so many people that say that. I'll have people say, oh, I'm sober too. And then proceed to order a beer. And I'm like, wait a minute. And those are the longest winded conversations. Those people want to tell you every single reason why they're sober, and then they'll go and order a beer and they'll be like, oh, well, I don't drink hard alcohol, or like, oh, it's a birthday, so I'm gonna go ahead and have one. And I'm like,
you're like, then don't say you're sober. Say
yeah.
like you have sober living qualities or whatever.
Sober
but
curious is a big one.
I've never heard that before. I like that. It's like when you're kind of playing with the idea.
Yeah, when you're toying with it. So maybe you might not drink like Monday through Friday, or maybe you might reserve a special occasion. You know, if I'm coming over to Tori's house, I think I'm going to ask her if she has a nice bottle of wine. That's cool. You can be sober curious, you know, for those different things. But yeah, I don't like that either. I feel like it's a little bit offensive because I'm like, I work so hard every day. So to each his own.
How is it? Because a lot of people you hear like the time they went into recovery was when they hit rock bottom. Did you have like a rock bottom that you were like, whoa, I got to stop this?
Yes. My rock bottom was probably when I started thinking about suicide. That was my rock bottom. And always before, like you had said about alcohol for me was, I would go and do it with my friends. I would go to a party, and I started drinking because I had like all these voices in my head, not necessarily schizophrenia, but yeah, anxiety, so much anxiety. I never felt good enough. I still struggle with that, never feeling good enough. And I'm much better now thanks to being sober. But that was like the only way I knew how to calm the voices in my head down. So I could get a reprieve if I was able to get a few drinks in me and just get a comfortable buzz. And for a long time, that's all that I did. I would go out to the cornfields and drink with my friend, a bunch of natural ice and like Mad Dog 40-40. And we'd go and we'd drink that and we'd have a great night, go home. Maybe you wake up and throw up once or twice, but it like wasn't a big deal. deal.
Yeah.
You like always got your stuff done. And so I was never like a depressive. I got sad, but I think sometimes, especially as women, our emotions kind of come out a little
that
more.
PMS,
yeah,
man.
we're on our periods. So like, I'd be sad over a boy and I might go into a closet and have a cry because that was like my favorite place to have a cry.
Really?
In the
Mine's
closet.
the shower.
Yeah, shower now. It's just
like for crying.
Let the rain
Literally.
fall. Yeah, and
I'll
you're
just
like,
be in there like,
ah.
can't even tell the difference between the shower and the tears. Just my whole face is wet.
It's so gangster though. You get out of the shower and you wipe off and you just go on about your day.
Literally.
This is life. That never happened. But you always feel better though. So now when you cry, there is that relief. But it was like I wasn't finding that relief. And then people started, it started to get darker and darker. I got 2 DUIs, so I didn't have a job.
Oh, dang.
So I couldn't even work my Walmart job. I was messing up relationships, romantic relationships, friendships. And as I got older, I came into LA in the program, we call it like a geographical. So I moved away because I was like, everybody else is the problem. I'm not the problem. My
Of
friends
course.
suck. I'm not, I'm not responsible for any of it. If only I knew some better people.
Yeah.
And so I came down to LA. And I got swept up in like the
That was
scene,
probably so much worse
the
for
club
your
scene.
issue.
Yeah, there was, instead of having to like go out and find the drugs or the alcohol,
They were being given to
they
you.
were being handed to me by a nice man in a suit, by a good-looking man in a nice car who had free bottle service at the club, VIP, everything. I'm like, why wouldn't I take this?
Literally.
I'm from like a small town. Why would I not take this and go talk to whoever this guy tells me to go and talk to? Like, I know no one here.
Yeah.
So I got really swept up into that. And then finally it just got to a point, like I was saying, where I didn't want to leave my house. One of my last moments, I was at home. It was like my 3rd day binge drinking. I was postmating wine. I didn't even like wine, but that was like all I could postmate. You couldn't postmate hard alcohol. This was pre-COVID. And it was still frowned upon. And so I was postmates a bunch of wine. Like it was like buy 5, get the 6th one free. And I would just put it in my room. It was the 3rd day. I was drinking. I had like a little bit of cocaine that I had from a friend. I never had a problem with cocaine. I would always drink and be like, okay, no, I'm getting too drunk. And I'd do a little bit of cocaine and I would level out and then I'd be fine. So I was never like somebody that was like really hunting down the cocaine. And so it was a point where if I knew the cocaine was in the room, I wanted to finish it. And so I'm like doing this little bit of cocaine that I have left after the 3 days. And I'm like crying and I'm like sending my brother WhatsApp messages. And I'm also watching a comedy show, like on a comedy special on Netflix by like this fat white guy who's like takes his belly out and talks with his belly. I'll never forget. I was just like, this isn't even my type of humor. Like, I don't even.
What am I even
yeah,
watching?
What am
right
I
now?
doing? And I'm watching a comedy special, home alone, postmating alcohol, railing lines off my MacBook by
Crying.
myself, and just but also I'm crying because I'm alone, but also I don't care to get dressed up and go out and see anyone.
Yeah.
So that for me, and so that was when I started thinking like, I just need to like kill myself because this is so painful. And I didn't see a way out. There's like no sobriety influencers or people openly talking about it.
Honestly.
Yeah. And when I had my 2 DUIs, I went to some classes. I don't even think it was AA. It was like court-ordered classes. It was like a bunch of like Mexican gangsters and like old white farmers. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to go back to these classes and like try to relate with these like gangbangers. I'm not a gangbanger and I'm not like an old man farmer.
Literally.
I live in LA now. So where am I going to go? Where am I going to go to see people that kind of reflect my lifestyle? Yeah. Or what even is my lifestyle at that point? But where am I going to go to meet some young, cool people that are going to not make me hate myself for all the mistakes I've made up until this point? And it felt like depression, when you're at the bottom and you're staring up and you can see the sun and you can see the sky, but it just feels like no matter how far you reach, you're kind of just always that short. Yeah. And there was just such despair. And in the 12-step program, we call it like the gift of desperation. I was just desperate. And I started dating somebody that was in the program. And then from there, that was how I started going and got sober. And I've stuck around ever since.
Where do you think that initial like numbing came from?
Childhood. Everything comes from childhood.
Literally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you done a lot of healing to try to make sure that you don't slip back into those trauma patterns?
Yes, I'm really fortunate. Thank God for OnlyFans, because the OnlyFans pays for all my therapy, which is expensive.
Honestly, though,
It's very
that's what people
expensive.
don't understand. They're like, oh, just go to therapy.
Yeah,
Like,
it's expensive.
okay, that's first of all, if you don't want to pay a butt ton, have health insurance, which
Yeah.
is like not really a thing if you aren't wealthy in America right now.
Correct. I don't have health insurance. I pay out of
Out of pocket. So like, especially if you're paying out of pocket for like a specialized person, not like someone that's just like a government worker.
Correct.
That is seeing 100 people a day and trying to
Correct.
get through you as quickly. Like you're trying to actually figure out your shit. That's expensive. That's like lawyer money. That's
Yes.
like
Yes.
expensive hourly.
Yes.
I'm watching some show where they're like therapists and he's making a joke with his friend. He's like, well, I'm $350 an hour. I'm like, and this is like
not far from it.
this is 7 years ago, this show. Like I'm watching, it's like a throwback on fucking Hulu right now. I'm like, this is 7 years ago. This is about 10 years later. That's got to be more now for hourly to help people. And like, I get it. Like it's a business and everything, but life fucks you up for free.
Right.
So then you're expected to pay for the free fuck up yourself.
Yep.
It's
That's why
insane.
I'm grateful to have the outlet of the 12-step, because it's free. They do pass dues around, but it's self-supporting. I don't, if I fall on hard times and I go in there and I can't pay, nobody's going to
Turn you away.
Yeah, nobody's going to turn me away. And I'm so grateful for that. Because until I started investing in the therapy, and I do have a specialized sex therapist. He's specializes in sex therapy. So no, we're not like fucking and having sex. I've had people say like, oh, are y'all like,
He's teaching you how to come.
Yeah. They're like, is that kind? And yeah, no, he's
Which there are therapists for that.
there are, yeah, and it's
That's
a
not
very
the one,
valid
though.
job, but this ain't what's happening over here, I don't even go see him anymore. It's
No,
on the phone.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that being said, it's doing that work has been, it's life-changing. And I think I'm so thankful to be able to have the option, because it's expensive.
Yeah.
And I know not everybody has that option. But it is some of the best money I've ever spent. And I've had a lot of plastic surgery. So that's saying a lot.
She's saying like this inside my head
Yeah.
was way better of a spend for me.
Yes. It really was. So I try to say, I want my insides to match my outsides.
I love that.
Thank you.
I feel like a lot of people only focus on one.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of if you focus on both, it's like, oh, you're kind of fake about one or the other.
Right.
Because it's like, oh, you're going to be totally holistic therapy.
Right.
You can't not want to change your face.
Right.
You can't want to get plastic surgery and be unhappy with yourself. Your
Right.
whole thing is be happy where you are. And this is what I always say to people. Listen, if you're really unhappy about something and you think your happiness is going to improve because you put a little filler in your lip, then by all means do that.
Do it.
But if someone told you to, or you're going in there like, what should I do to my face? Like, you tell me, or like a guy tells you to get a boob job, that's when I'm like, that's not you being happy with yourself. That's not you chasing your happiness. That's
Correct.
you kind of like chasing someone else's.
Yep.
So that's what I'm like, you're being kind of hypocritical if you're talking about love and light and therapy and happiness, and then you're still doing things in your life for other people.
Right. I agree. Yeah, because I think that, even with the plastic surgery and stuff, like, you just trade it for a different set of problems.
Yep.
Like my tits were small. Now I have big tits, and, I can't like sleep a certain way. And now, the sleep gets messed up, or now I have big boobs and I'll have like some stretch marks on my, it's just like, you're just trading it out. So you're never gonna like the perfection, that ideal perfection. It doesn't exist. So you have to just be willing to say like, this is me doing my best. And I'm going to improve in certain areas where I can, but like the rest of it, I'm not going to worry about.
Literally, in the book, The 4 Agreements, they literally talk about how you're never not going to have problems. You can just hope to have better problems.
Yes.
Like instead of being a rich man has problems, a poor man has
Yes.
problems. The poor man's problems are probably how am I going to eat tomorrow? The rich man's problems are how am I going to pay taxes? And
Right.
the business that I'm running, I have to make sure my company is running properly. You're always going to have different problems, but you just can hope in life to get better and better problems.
Right.
So where it's more like choices and less like problems.
Right. Absolutely.
Which I feel like is hard for people.
Yeah. I think there's that saying like, oh, you prayed to have the problems that you do today or something like that. And I'm like, damn, that is, it's so true. Because there'll always be something happening where you're just like, oh, I wish that didn't happen. But we also say like progress, not perfection. So that's what I keep telling myself all the time. If I can learn from it, I can grow from it, and I can just be a little bit better, then it's still time well spent.
I love that. So a lot of people in life have different mentors. In your Q&A, you talked very specifically about one mentor and all the things he did for you. Elaborate on that a little bit. Let us know like how you came to trust someone, because I feel like a lot of times when you're deep in like a situation with addiction, it's very hard to trust people. It's very hard to like actually take in what someone's saying to you and implement it in your life, because you just feel like you don't know what I'm going through. You've never been there. You don't know me. Like it's a very wall up when you're going through something as traumatic as that. What about that relationship with that mentor kind of like opened you up and made you like, this is someone that really cares about me?
Honestly, I have to say that really landed for me years after. So who we're talking about is a guy named Paul Aceto from TSM. I still talk to him. I actually just texted him the other day. His birthday is coming up. Mine is August 16th and his is coming up as well. So we'll always like touch base right around this time. He definitely became like a father figure to me in the most random way. And I think that just being from a small town, I just trust people. I trust people. Sometimes I get myself into so much trouble.
You can't do that.
Yeah, I know.
I'm from New York, so I'm like, I don't trust anyone. You could be like, the sky is blue. I'd be like, hold up.
Yeah. And I'm so the opposite. I was like hanging out with one of my guy friends the other day, and I was like, whoa, there's a movie theater right across from your apartment. I'm like, wow, this is so cool. Do you ever watch a movie like secretly? And he was like, yeah, on Saturdays they play porn. And I was like, what? I'm like, what kind of porn? Oh my God. I'm like, have they ever played gay porn? I just took it.
You went with it.
And he was like, what is wrong with you?
Why
of course
would they
don't play porn. And I'm like, I don't know. That's just what you
just said it.
You told me, so like, why wouldn't it be true? He was like, get out of my house right now. Like,
oh my God.
Yeah. And so it's something that I love about myself in a way, because I'm grateful that I've still been able to maintain like that childlike.
You're not jaded.
Yeah. So, but also sometimes I just really do get myself into trouble. So it wasn't even as though this person proved himself to me. He just had, they were kind of one of the first bikini companies to like do it. Like they had a really big online following. And they were very tiny bikinis, like little string bikinis, well before any of the bikinis that you've ever seen on Instagram.
Like Triangle and like all those places.
Correct. So you would wear these on a beach and people would be floored, lose their shit. There was a few times where people would buy the bikinis right off of the girl that was wearing it once they found out it was his company. Yes. People were like, I have to have this. I will not leave without this bikini. Yes, it was wild. And so that being said, he already had some women that were living in the house that were doing the webcamming. I was desperate. I had just lost my job. I couldn't even go into my job at Walmart. My waitressing job, I was working like 60-hour weeks, and I was doing modeling as well. And I needed my car. I needed a car to drive to get to these places. And I had just gotten my second DUI, and it was awful. I'm like, I have no license. I'm no license. The first one, they took away my license because I was under 21. And then the second one is my second one. So you automatically lose it for a year. Yeah. And so I was like, I am so screwed. I'm so screwed. And I need money. I'm getting older at this point.
How old were you at this point?
I think I was like, I got my boobs done when I was right before I turned 21 or right around 21. So I must have been, like 23 or so, 22, 23, but I'm not like fresh out of high school. So I'm
like people
at the
are fresh out of college at that point.
Yeah. But I'm like in that area where I'm setting a standard for my life. I'm not just going to, like when I moved out after I was out of high school, I like shared a bed with my girlfriend for like a year, and then we just like ate top ramen and hot dogs, and we like did our thing. I like moved down the street from my mom, so like the standard of living was real. I was having fun, but like it was very low. Yeah. And so now I'm like, no, I have my own apartment. I have my own places that I enjoy going and spending money. I like to go out and drink still at this point. So I'm like, this is ridiculous. I can't not have an income. And then on Facebook, that was when Facebook was kind of just picking up steam. I got a message from this company, and they were like, look, if you want to come and model for the bikini company, you can. And also, we have a different opportunity for employment that we're interested to offer you in as well. Because I had like a little bit of a following on MySpace. And I was like, okay, like there's
what's up?
Yeah, there's no way I can go wrong, and they're gonna, put me up while I go down to LA. So the deal was I bought my own ticket, and I would go down there for a photo shoot. It was like a weekend long photo shoot, and then they would put me up on their website, and I would be modeling the bikinis, and then I would have an opportunity to chat with people online and model the bikinis online. Wink, wink.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And so I was just like, what? I can just talk to people, because this is also the era where we're like accepting a cute boy on Facebook, thinking maybe we're going to make a friendship.
This is before catfish.
Yes, exactly. So I'm like thinking, there's a whole new world out there. I'm in my little town of Galt. I'm like, yeah, man from the internet, get me out of here, Yeah, where have you been? You're late, like
I've been waiting.
Yeah, of course. Let me hop on the next Southwest flight and get my ass down there. What could go wrong? And so I went down there, and I ended up living in this webcam house for about a year. And I became like sisters with these women. A lot of people were like, oh, were y'all sleeping with each other? Listen, that Paul, he was getting laid left and right. He was like loving life. And I won't tell too many of his secrets, but let me just say this. I don't think he'd care at this point, but he was married for a time, and his wife was participating as well. He had a beautiful wife, and I mean, they were like, life was good.
This was before everything was on the internet.
Yes, exactly. So, I don't know. I think that he would probably be open to sharing that part of his life at that point. So if not, I'll have to maybe don't watch this, Paul. I won't send you the link. But it was pretty well known that, him and his wife were enjoying as well. And there was, he had a few girlfriends. So he had some main gals that they would all go and do dinner with and go to these beautiful lavish parties. I mean, at this point, I'd never been into LA.
Any of that stuff.
So it was, I mean, and this, like you said, it was before the internet. So everything was very high end. I went to the Playboy Mansion with them. I was going to Michael Scott's house, which is like they call him the trailer park king.
God.
Yeah, we were going there, but even before he was Michael Scott.
Before he was Michael Scott, yeah.
Yes, and we would go up there and we would meet, all these different celebrities. And it was a very high-end situation. I didn't know how I found myself down there, but I just knew once I had gotten a taste of it, I'm like, I'm not going back to go. I'm like, you can't force me. I'm sleeping on the ground.
Literally.
And so that was what we did. We slept in bunk beds. And there would be like a little room, and he would have 2 bunk beds, and there would be 4 traveling models. And typically some of them would be traveling, coming in to shoot for the company, and then others, there would be like main. So I was like a main, and I would work, and we worked those webcams like a dog. And this incredible man, he didn't have us pay any rent. We didn't pay for anything. He was just like, I just really need you to be here and work.
The webcam.
Yeah. Because I think he was getting paid like from the webcams. But
yeah, obviously.
Even before then, I didn't even know.
You didn't care. You're like, free rent, free food, free board, free like food. All of that shit.
He was so good to all of us. But he was like a father too. So like sometimes there was like discipline. Like we'd get yelled at, we'd be bad. Like I always got yelled at for drinking a lot. And he was the first person to tell me, if you just put the bottle down, like you'd be good. But you drink way too much. And he'd be like, you get disgusting. You're a slob. I had never had anyone speak this way to me. And he would do it in front of other people. And I'd be like, ah.
He's like, you're going to get drunk like this in front of other people. They saw you like this anyway.
That's what he would say. He would be like, you're wasting your time. You're costing yourself money. You're costing me money when I take you out with me and I parade you around saying that, these are some of the most beautiful women. What are you doing? Yeah. And I was just like, damn. And it never really hit home for me until like even a few years ago. I was like, wow, that guy was like the first father figure I ever had. I was pissed, of course I'd go and say, he was mean. He was so mean. I can't believe he said that. But now I'm like, no, that person loved me. He like wanted to see me succeed. He still loves me. And he's like, now he has a longtime girlfriend, like young and beautiful. And I'm like, hey, what's up, Paul? And he's just like, oh, CJ, you still single? You're out there,
Oh
running
my
the
God.
streets. I'm like, I'm not running the streets. I promise. I'm making you proud. He's like, okay, you
You're
put
like
the
sober modeling.
Yeah. So I know that he's really proud of me for that. But that was the first tough love that I ever got. And that was probably one of the first people to really like just take an interest and to give me some real honest feedback. So that for me was definitely life-changing.
Is there like kind of a safe space that is kind of like what you were looking for when you first tried to go into recovery, that's like cool, young, hip people that are like being open about it? Like, I feel like there's really no, as you said, like influencer for sobriety. Have you ever thought of kind of like stepping into that role more so than just like a title of like sober bikini model, but like talking about it, like doing, I don't know, I guess like book club kind of things where like you guys like have a community to talk and it's just like a bunch of young, cool, fun people that are also trying to do this same lifestyle too?
I am starting on my YouTube. I just filmed like 8 different things.
Oh, fire.
And I don't want it to be so much like, hi, I'm sober, look at me. I want it to be more like, look at me doing all these things. And by the way, I'm sober. It's called CJ Doing Things.
I love that.
We really spent a lot of money on that title there, but it's simple. It's to the point, because everyone's always like, how do you travel? You're sober. How do you go to these parties and you're sober? I'm like, I go. What do you mean?
Literally.
But I forget that there was those times where I couldn't even leave the
Where
house.
you would ask the same question.
Yes. And so that's how I feel. I just want to share that, like, these are all the things that I'm doing. And by the way, I'm not drunk, and I don't need to be drunk to,
Do that.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't even be in the position that I'm in right now if I had
1000%.
continued down that road. So
1000%.
it's like, I do it because that's the only way I'm here. I wouldn't be here otherwise.
Right. 1000%. And there's a lot of really cool, there's an area called, it's the Log Cabin and the West Hollywood Recovery Center. So if anybody is sober curious, you can go there. And there's a bunch of open meetings. We call them open because if you're sober curious, you can go there. It's all young people. It's all fabulous young people and fabulous gay people. It's the best.
I love that.
Yeah, it's the best. And a few homeless people. So all are welcome.
Everyone is welcome. Everyone has the option to get information and heal and grow together.
Yes. And you don't need money. Like there's nothing that we need from you. We just want you to come.
So I feel like one of the things you definitely have to keep a handle on is your work-life balance. How is that for you? How is it making sure that, because whenever I see you online, you're working, or like at a pole class, or like just doing something fun. And I'm like,
At a boxing class.
I probably look the same to people online, but they don't understand that like there are just those days when you only see me post like my podcast on my story and like some quotes. It's because I'm in hibernation.
Yes.
Like I need to recoup. How have you managed to do that? Because do you take those times like that too, or are you just kind of in a go mode?
Almost every Sunday. This Sunday I'm doing a hike and I'm considering there's like a bungee jump at the end of the hike. So I'm considering doing that, but typically it's Sundays. I'll take it off. And yeah, sometimes if I just want to have a day on the couch doing nothing, I absolutely do
Let
it.
yourself.
Yeah. Usually there's like a bare minimum of things we have to get done. So I've learned to try to do those. Otherwise I beat myself up later and it's not even worth it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have plenty of days on the couch, and sometimes I'll have a few in the row, I think, I just think it's like if my body needs that, if my body is really telling me, I think you can typically tell
100%
when you really need that, or when you're just kind of like, I think I want to take a nap, or I think I want to take a day off, but you're like, okay, get it together.
No, it's like you're emailing and your eyelids feel like burning and heavy, and you're like, I need a nap.
Do it, because do it, but also do it 100%.
Yeah.
Put the phone away, because even if I'm like watching TV, taking a moment, I'll be scrolling on my phone. I'm guilty of that too. Put the phone down. Otherwise, you're going to mess yourself up and you're not going to get that rest or relaxation that you need. I try to do that as much as I can as well, because also I'm going to be 37 next month. So if I'm not careful, I will just go down and not get back up.
First of all, you don't look anywhere near 37. So wild. This is why you sober living right here. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Ain't no way.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I think it's a combination of plastic surgery, not drinking, and just like honestly kind of just doing doing what I want. And when I say doing what I want, I mean like saying no to things that if you want to say no, say no.
Yeah.
And if you want to say yes, do it with excitement, do it happy, with a happy way, even if it's something you kind of have to do, don't necessarily want to, especially if it's something you're making income doing. Some people don't have jobs and they want jobs and they just can't have them for whatever reason. They don't have access, or they have kids and they can't go to work, and maybe they're at home and they're feeling like, wow, I really would like to have a job out of the home right now, but right now my position is to stay home and be a mom. Like, so I try to always be authentic, which is kind of hard.
Yeah.
Kind of hard with Instagram
media
and everything. Yeah. And I'm starting to care less and less.
I feel that,
I'm starting to care less and less.
As you should.
Yeah.
Like, literally, who thinks? Unless you
Right.
care about I would say, unless you care about the person, why do you care about their opinion?
Right. I filmed something for OnlyFans. My girlfriend was like, you should film XYZ for OnlyFans. And she was telling me like a sexy shower, something or other. And I was like, I don't want to do that. And so I was in the shower and I like started singing, and I'm like naked in the shower singing. I'm like, I don't want to film sexy, like, oh, soap on my pussy.
Like, literally.
It's so great. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And then how about this? If I do want to masturbate or do some crazy shower scene, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to have a
Literally.
great time. Great time. You're going to get my full self. But I don't feel like doing that right now. So you're going to get me naked, singing in the shower, twerking, having a great time. And if you don't like that, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you at this
Don't
point.
buy again.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait till the next one comes out.
Literally, that one might be in your vibe.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it does get so tiring. So I'm trying to practice authenticity when I see the opportunities too. Because I know you can't all the time. But when I see the opportunity, I try to practice that. And I feel like that makes me lighter. I move through the world lighter that way.
So was it a natural progression from you, kind of like from webcam into OF?
It wasn't, I guess, because OnlyFans would be considered adult work, which the webcamming was considered adult work. It wasn't. And it's kind of still a bumpy transition. I think people don't even realize that. I think they just think I have 1 million followers on Instagram, so I have 1 million followers on OnlyFans. And I'm just not one of those people that's like making $100,000 a month. I'm just not. And for whatever reason, it still seems to be so elusive for me sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm like, why have I still not figured out this formula? I'm so grateful for all the money that I make and all the fans that I do have out there.
But you
or
hear
on
like
there.
these crazy stories
yeah.
about girls like racking in like
Yeah.
300 grand a month,
Yes.
and you're like,
Yeah. I'm like,
what are you doing?
Where do I'm like, is there just like a door I walk through? Like, what do I have to sell? Like, what piece of my body do I have to sell? Because it sounds and it looks so nice and it looks incredibly fulfilling. And I have a lot of friends that are very happy. They bought properties.
Mm-hmm.
So one could say, you've bought properties, you have a nice vehicle, you have some nice bags and some nice shoes that, you didn't have to go on the seeking arrangements. This is where I go. That's where I get a lot of my nice bags and shoes, from the men on seeking arrangements. God bless the sugar daddies out there. And, but for me, the OnlyFans thing is still... It's still somewhat of an enigma to me, and I guess it sounds so silly to say even with my
you
podcast.
have inside OnlyFans.
Yeah, but I feel like I'm learning those new things every day. The transition definitely wasn't seamless, but it does feel right. I feel right existing on the internet. So that for me feels good. So I am getting the YouTube started again because I hope to make, some sort of an income with that and be able to grow with that. There are some days where OnlyFans feels incredibly fulfilling. Like I'm just like out there breaking down barriers. And then there's other days where I'm just like, oh, this OnlyFans thing. God damn it. So it wasn't seamless, but I will say it's so nice because the webcamming was really hard work. Really hard work.
I have a few friends that have cammed, and they're just like, that is grueling.
Yes. But then there's that thing of like that, the immediate gratification.
Mm-hmm.
So we used to make, like, so many people would just sit there and give you, it's like a stripper in a way, because they can see you. So with the OnlyFans, they can't see you.
Oh.
So, yikes. So there's beautiful things that I really miss about webcam, because I felt like I had so many different connections that I don't feel like as connected sometimes with the people on OnlyFans. But that being said, I think that I'm revamping a little bit. So I think that's the reason sometimes for the disconnect, because I do still have my really loyal fans on there. And a lot of those people are people that have followed me from webcam.
No way.
Yeah.
A lot of girls I know will actually use OF Live as kind of like their own version of webcam.
Yes.
And do like, oh, I'm doing a live tonight. It's topless live, $5 entry, blah,
Mm-hmm.
blah, blah. And then like they put a tip menu up. Have you
Yeah.
ever done that or thought about doing that?
I have done lives, but I haven't ever charged for a live. And I feel like that's probably going to be coming up next month because I miss that connection. And there is something about being in there with everyone, even the
Real
guys like
time.
talking amongst themselves. And yeah, so yeah, it feels like a little family, even when you're topless, like everyone is talking about their week or, talking about like, oh, you have a tan line. That's right. You were in Miami for swim week and now, you're back. How was that? And it feels a lot more casual, which I really like. So maybe it'll be coming to you soon.
So what is a book for you that kind of changed your life, like opened your mind a bit?
Okay, so this is so funny. The book for me that was life-changing and has probably still been the biggest life-changing book is a book called The Game. And if you've never heard of The Game, it is written for men. It's written for men, but I was trying to infiltrate the man space.
I did a little bit of that.
Did
I
you?
a little bit of
Because-
like, what are they trying to teach men? So like I can understand men a bit.
Yes, that was exactly what it was for me. Again, out of pure desperation, I had just been played so hard by this guy that ended up having like a whole family, the next town over. I was in Sacramento, and I was just like, what is wrong with me that I'm so clueless? And I was so heartbroken, and I was like, man, like, what's going on with me that I like didn't see this coming? Like I like volunteered for this heartbreak.
Yeah.
And my girlfriend was like, listen, my brother's such a pimp, but he only got that way because he read this book. And she was like, you have to read this book. I was like, what is it? Like, I will
What
do
book? Tell me.
anything at this point. She's like, it's called The Game. I was like, what? Where can I get this book? Oh my God. I'm like salivating at the mouth, right? When I say that I ordered this book on Audible so fast, and I read this book from the minute I woke up, or I listened to this book from the minute I woke up to the minute I fell asleep. I would fall asleep listening to this book.
Like daily.
Yes, every day. And then when I tell you that I've probably listened to it more than 100 times and read it more than 100 times, I'm not lying. Like, I cannot stress that this is not an exaggeration. I was just so desperate for any morsel. My dad was really religious. My mom is really religious. So I couldn't ask them for any type. I was like kind of estranged from my family and my sister, my brother. My brother's my best friend now. But back then, I think I was maybe 25, 26. So I was just like trying to make my own way in the world. And I didn't really have anywhere I could turn to or any trusted kind of like male perspective. And so I sucked this book up as like a sponge, like as much as I could. And to the point where I knew all the acronyms, like now I haven't hardly listened to it lately, but there's an acronym LMR, which is called Last Minute Resistance. So like it's a dating book, and it would tell guys how to do like these dating moves. They have like the best friends test where they would go up, like if you and your girlfriend are at a bar and y'all are like looking hot, but it's like one guy. Men are typically like really intimidated. And so they would have openers. They call them openers. So they would have a best friends test, and then they would say like something about Britney Spears versus Christina Aguilera. This was all probably like 10 years ago or 15 years ago. So these are like the hottest pop stars then. They have something like called like the dual induction massage, which is how to have two girls to have a threesome with you. There's of course everybody's heard neg, the word neg at this point. Yeah. So it's like when you give a girl a backhanded compliment, like, so a backhanded compliment, for instance, for somebody like me would be like, oh, you're really pretty for 36 or for 37.
Yeah.
So then if you're a woman who, like most women, is, you're pretty confident, you're pretty. You
kind of get knocked down
but
a little bit.
you're like, oh, so like if I was standing next to a 25-year-old, maybe I wouldn't be pretty, so then the head starts spinning. And so then they make it so,
get her a bit
you want to
insecure.
you get her a bit insecure, and then you are searching out for validation for this person, and then you can have like an emotional connection. So they'll elicit an emotional connection out of you, whereas every other guy at the bar is like, hey girl, can I buy you a drink? And
Literally.
you're just like, I don't even want to drink because then maybe you might not leave me alone for the rest of the night.
Literally.
So actually, no, thank you. Keep your drink and actually, remove yourself from here and go over there. So it's almost like offensive at that point. So then these other guys would come up to you and say, oh, do you know about the best friends test? And you're going, I've never heard this. What the fuck is the best friends test?
Now you're in a conversation.
So now you're engaged.
Interested.
Yeah, exactly. And so I learned about all this. I still kept getting played, but I learned about like this whole underground. And so when I probably got played a lot less because again, I am from such a small town. So I always think like, oh, I always look for the good in people.
Yeah.
People to me are always innocent until proven guilty. And from what I understand, I should be kind of thinking the other way around.
You should kind of be like sleeping with one eye open.
Yeah. And so it just gave me some insight, some guidelines. I felt a little bit more like I had some tools for when I did leave the house. So, if somebody would give me like a backhanded compliment or something, like I felt like I had a little bit of that armor on where it wouldn't penetrate me immediately because I was so sensitive growing up.
Where it was coming
from. Exactly. I would be like, oh, okay, he's just trying to neg me. Like, it's not that big of a deal, and then I could just go on about my night instead of like obsessing over it. So I feel like it helped me a lot. And it was like my dad in a way. And then I ended up dating the one of the main guys that the book was written about, which was wild.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. We're definitely not cool anymore, but that was like a whole other chapter of my life. A lot of respect to that guy because he put up with a lot. He used to call me Wolverine. He would be like, you're my Wolverine girlfriend because I would get so wasted. And he didn't drink. I'd get so plastered and I'd be like climbing him like a tree and I had the big long nails and I was a shit show.
That's hilarious.
He loved it though. So yeah, it was fun.
Thank you so much
for
coming on and taking your time. She's literally an hour to get here. Amazing.
I think it was longer.
Oh my, yeah, it was like an hour and a half. You're in Santa Monica though, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, that was deep. But thank you so much.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you want to plug? Definitely hit them with your OnlyFans, your Instagram, your podcast one more time before we close out.
Yeah, I would love for any of the, what do you call the people, the spillers?
The spillers.
Okay. Well, the spillers, after you binge watch Tea with Tori, that's what it is, right?
It is.
After you binge watch Tea with Tori, make sure you get all of her episodes locked and loaded and liked and subscribed and all that. Then you can come over to the Inside OnlyFans podcast if you still need a little bit more wildness. You can watch all our stuff. You can like and subscribe if it's okay. If it's okay with Tori, you can ask her permission.
Of course, please
first.
do.
And my
Women
OnlyFans
supporting women.
Yeah,
Jesus,
right?
please go listen.
Yeah. And my OnlyFans is CJ Sparxx Vault. So that's like the paid one. The other one is CJ Sparxx free. You'll figure it out. It's all there. And then CJ Sparxx, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok. They keep deleting me, but we'll get it figured out.
Shocking. They never do that.
I know, right? I'm not a woman with boobs, right?
No, and absolutely not. As per usual, I'm Tori212 Green on all platforms. Tea with Tori podcast on Instagram. Go like, comment, and subscribe and download. I will see you spillers next Wednesday. Bye.